So continuing on with our new series on the wood element for spring, I'm going to talk about some acupressure points that you can apply acupressure to on yourself, or you can have someone else apply pressure to. And these are points on the liver and gallbladder channels, which are part of the wood element. And they have a lot to do with the sinews, which are the tendons and ligaments that connect our bones and our muscles to each other. So a lot to do with supporting the joints, flexibility, and as well as mental flexibility, having a broader perspective, being able to see things with fresh eyes, also physically, our vision, and issues with the eyes, redness of the eyes, anything from that to issues with clarity of vision can be associated with the liver and the gallbladder. The liver especially is said to open into the eyes, and the liver plays a big role in blood, which nourishes the whole body, and so it can have an impact on things like menstruation, issues with regularity, or other issues with the cycle. Also things like sleep, especially trouble falling asleep, can be from a deficiency of blood, and just a whole host of things. So just to name a few areas that the wood element plays a big role in. So we'll go through a few different points on the liver and gallbladder meridians, starting with one of the most common points in general in acupuncture, liver 3. One of the translations is great rushing, and also though known by some as happy calm, for its ability to improve the mood. So this point is located on the foot, and it is in a kind of triangle between the bones, extending back from the second and first toe. So if you can feel the bones right behind the big toe and the second toe, and draw lines back, you'll feel they meet. And right before you get to that point is liver 3. So a few tips though with acupressure points that I always let people know is to feel for a tender spot. So even if the point isn't exactly where you've been told, if it feels tender, it feels like that good ache to press into a point, then that's your point. So you can apply pressure using the pad of your thumb, simply pressing in. For more pressure, you can use your knuckle, your index finger, for example, and you can also circle to apply pressure, or you can simply press and hold. You can also pulse the pressure, and circling clockwise is typically going to draw energy to that area. So we might use that if we want to have more of a nourishing, strengthening effect, invigorating. And circling counterclockwise is dispersing the chi, or the energy, from the area or from the channel. So this you may want to do in cases of there's an excess of something and you want to release. You can do both, whatever feels good, and Some points, if they're a little tight, you can even use your nail to get in there to apply more acute pressure. But liver 3 is a pretty nicely accessible point. So just to show you on myself where liver 3 is located. So as I was saying, you can just draw your fingers back from the first and second toe, feeling those bones, the metatarsals, and then, so the metatarsals are here at the end of the toes, and then drawing your fingers back over them to where they start to form this triangle, this angle, and right in between. You can also just draw your finger back from the space in between the big toe and the second toe to where you feel a little hollow, where you can press in, and like I said, it should be tender. Yeah, I'm feeling that right now. And so this is on both sides, so you can apply pressure one at a time or to both sides at once to equally access or activate those points. So liver 3, what it's useful for is, you name it. So this is both a really good nourishing point and can be a sedating point, a calming point, a moving point, especially for stuck chi. And chi stagnation manifests as either, it can manifest emotionally as frustration, just frequently getting frustrated, or maybe just a bout of frustration that is hard to shake. It can also even manifest as depression, especially a depression that it feels more like a repression of anger, that exercising makes you feel better. And it can also, chi stagnation can also manifest as tension or pain, the kind of pain that it's not excruciating, but it's noticeable, but it's manageable to kind of go about your day, and it kind of just feels like you've got to work out some kinks, and it may move around. The tension may be a little harder to pinpoint. So all those can be manifestations of chi stagnation. So liver 3 is a good point for this. Good for low back pain, also low back pain that wraps around front. Also for stagnation in this diaphragm area, or the area below the rib cage, that is kind of like your flanks are pretty much almost always associated with the wood element, with the liver, the gallbladder, because the channels run in those areas. The liver channel ends at the diaphragm area. The gallbladder runs down the side of the torso. Another thing liver 3 can be good for is insomnia, as it can be a blood nourishing point. So like I was saying earlier, blood deficiency can lead to kind of restlessness, trouble falling asleep in particular, and it may also lead to amenorrhea, or lack of a period when you have not reached menopause, or just really a whole variety of menstrual issues. This point can be good to kind of ground the energy, anchor the energy down. If you have what's called liver yang rising or wind, So this can manifest with like high blood pressure, dizziness, even stroke at the most extreme. So to kind of prevent that and to help to stabilize the blood pressure, liver 3 is a common point. So a lot of different uses of this point, hence why it is so commonly used. And I will also, if you would like this information in a written form, please feel free to message me or to email me at acupuncturebymichelle@gmail.com, and I will send you a handout with this information on these points. And then next, moving to another point on the foot, we'll talk about gallbladder 40, which is sometimes translated as wilderness mound. So you can think of the ankle as that mound, because this point is located right next to the outer ankle, so on your lateral side. And so this point you can find by imagining that you're drawing a smiley face underneath your ankle. So the mouth would be under the ankle, and then where your finger lands on the other end of that smile, if you're starting from the back of the leg, going right under the ankle and coming up a little ways, just in that kind of anterior lateral corner, right in between the front and side, is gallbladder 40. So this is a little bit of a tighter space, but you should be able to press in. And again, you can use your nail if you want to get in there more specifically. And so this point can also be used for pain as a distal point, in particular for sciatica, for hip pain, locally for pain in that area. So the gallbladder channel runs down really the whole side of the body. So a lot of people with sciatica feel that pain or tingling down the side of the leg. So this, again, is a good distal point for the hip and for sciatica. It's also a good distal point for the head, for the eye issues, headache, definitely one-sided headache. Anything one-sided is usually an indication of some imbalance with the gallbladder. So pain on one side of the body, and as I just said, one-sided headache, and on a more spiritual level, wilderness mound, we can think of this point kind of offering us a higher ground after we've been through something and we're just amidst the wilderness, metaphorically, or the ruins of something. This offers us a higher ground to have a broader perspective, to kind of see beyond the immediate destruction or chaos. And so the wood element in general helps to lend us vision, right? Vision for a better future and for what is best. So not only maybe for us, but for the broader community, for humanity even. So benevolence, as I talked about in my last class, Intro to the Wood Element, is the virtue of the wood element. So all about like what is best for humanity, for life, for living beings. So that wilderness mound can be a point that helps us to access that. And so next we'll talk about the other end of the gallbladder channel, on the head. So this is a common one that Dr. Wu uses and talks about, gallbladder 20. So this is on what Dr. Wu calls the wind line, where the skull meets the neck. And so that line in general is important to help keep the channels open between the head and the body, keep the chi and the blood flowing, which is important for a lot of things. Definitely good for preventing stroke. So if you are at risk of that, or just simply for your, for well-being, you can apply acupressure in general to the wind line. Gallbladder 20 specifically is located between the SCM, this muscle. If you turn your head, you can kind of see it pop out or feel it. So this muscle coming down the side of the neck, and then the trapezius, which is the muscle that comes down the back of the middle of the back of the neck, and then kind of like a triangle comes to the top of the shoulders. So if you feel for just right in the middle of your neck, right over the cervical spine, you can come over to either side, over a little bump, the muscle, and fall back into a little valley. That's actually, that first space is bladder 10. So if you come over again, you will feel another hollow. And this one I like to use the knuckle of my index finger. It's more effective, I think, to have someone else apply acupressure to this point. It's a little hard to really get in there yourself. But if you are applying pressure, you want to press in and then up and to the opposite side. This point is beneficial for the head in general. Again, can be useful for headache, on the side of the head in particular, also for neck ache, and for eye issues, for stuffy nose, for just sinus issues, and it is called wind pond, or Dr. Wu likes to translate it as wind moat. So imagining like this kind of protective space between you and pathogens, external pathogens. So this point, wind not only can manifest internally as things like stroke, but wind is also used to describe external pathogens. So exterior wind could be things like viruses, bacteria. So this point can help to strengthen that layer between you and external pathogens, to keep yourself from being as susceptible to them. So just to show you, gallbladder 20. So it's right where the kind of after the skull ends, right about here, and you want to press in and up and to the opposite side. So lastly, we'll talk about liver 14, the end of the liver channel. This point is called Gate of Hope, or at least that's one translation of it. And it's right in this diaphragm area, technically in the 6th rib space. So kind of, you're not really able to fit your finger in there. So you can, again, you can use your nail, or you can just kind of press over the ribs, or perhaps just use your open palms on this like diaphragm area and send your chi into this space. So if you want to be particular about it, you can find this point by coming to the end of where the rib cage ends at the front of the body. So there are more ribs you can feel as you move to the sides, but we just want to come right to the front of the abdomen, feeling for where the rib cage stops there. And then you just come up one rib space, so over one rib, and just like I said, it's a tight space, and it's on the mammillary line technically. So essentially you can just find the midline of your body, the edge of your torso, and then come in halfway between on either side. And that's on the liver channel line. So liver 14, Gate of Hope, is, as the name suggests, can be a source of hope, accessing hope when you are despairing, when you can't really see a beneficial vision, or you just don't have a vision for the future. You're struggling to see that, and or you're just very frustrated, perhaps been sighing a lot with repressed frustration, and this can act kind of like a pressure release valve, just to let go of that pent up stagnant chi that the liver is susceptible to. So a healthy liver helps keeps things flowing smoothly when we run into obstacles, which is inevitable, rather than being defeated by them or angered by them. We are able to accept them and to pivot, to patiently continue in a new path forward. So the wood element likes movement, but it can easily become stressed if we're trying to move in a direction that we can't. And another thing, just on a physical level, liver 14, good for that hypochondriac or lower, below the rib cage pain, distension, even acid reflux. So some local things that point is good for. And once again, if you would like a handout with that information on it, please feel free to message me or to email me at acupuncture by Michelle with 2 L's @gmail.com.